The Space Adventures of Porky Parker.
Captain Jupiter, come in. This is Planetary Larry. Do you read me? Over.
Larry, I'm right here next to you. I've been here next to you since we started this voyage 12 days ago.
Hey, Captain, here's a good one. When is outer space better than a hamburger?
Gee, Larry, I don't know. When is outer space better than a hamburger?
When it's meteor. Get it? Meteor?
Yeah. You're out of this world, Larry.
Knock, knock. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Meteor.
Not this again. Meteor who?
Meaty or veggie? I'm hungry.
You're always hungry. You're becoming the only astronaut who's not weightless in space.
Oh, supermarket spotted. I'll put it on the viewer.
Ah, yes, Wegmans. Well, all right, I'll land there. But you've got to promise me no cheese curls or chocolate cupcakes. Instead, get something good for you. Like milk or yogurt.
I'm familiar with the Milky Way, but is there a yogurty way?
Very funny, Larry. Keep your eyes open for a parking spot. It's always tough to find a space for this spaceship.
Ooh, vacant parking space ahead, within several yards of the store entrance. I'll magnify it.
We can't pull in there. That's a reserved parking space.
Who is it reserved for?
Drivers or passengers with disabilities. In fact, you need a special permit to park in those spaces.
But I'll only be in the store for less than a light year. What possible difference could that make?
A big difference. Look, let me tell you a little story about a fellow named Porky Parker.
Porky Parker? As in the tongue twister, Porky Parker picked a peck of pickled peppers?
No. Porky Parker parked in places for people with permits, but Porky Parker had no permission.
Pretty picky problem.
Not a picky problem, a people problem. Let me paint you a picture. You see, reserved parking spaces are reserved for people who can't walk as easily as you or me. Maybe they have to use crutches or a cane, or maybe they can't walk at all and have to use a wheelchair. Well, Porky Parker paid no attention to those signs. Whenever his son would point them out, Porky would say something like,
"Oh, we'll only be a minute."
or,
Handicapped people don't go shopping.
but Porky Jr. asked,
"Gee, Dad, don't they need to go to the store and go to work and do all kinds of regular stuff like that?"
That puzzled Porky for a moment because his son might be making some sense. Porky answered,
Like I said, son, we'll just be a minute.
One day, Porky Parker had an accident. While putting away his favorite food, creamed corn, Porky sneezed. That was no big deal, but what happened next was. Porky didn't realize it, but the force of his sneeze made the stack of creamed corn roll off the shelf, and Porky rolled right along with the cans. Now the shoe was on the other foot, so to speak, and Porky was now a person with a disability. Now Porky got a reserved parking permit and felt how useful it could be and how frustrating it could be sometimes. He finds spaces filled, but not everyone has a permit. But when Porky honks, the driver says, "I'll only be a minute." Where have we heard this excuse before? He had to park way out of the way. The space he found wasn't wide enough for him to get out with his crutches. And making his way up the parking lot was also an adventure. So you see, Larry, it all adds up to 3 words. Be parking considerate.
Be parking considerate. Be parking considerate. I don't get it.
Do you want to know what it means? It means to respect the purpose of the reserved parking space. Observe the reserved parking signs. Let the space be used for people with a reserved parking permit. Now do you understand?
But I only wanted to run in quickly for some cheese curls and, milk and yogurt.
It doesn't matter if you use that spot for 60 minutes or 1 minute. You're actually taking away a person's right to be independent, to be closer to the places that he or she wants to go. Here, let me show you. A reserved parking space is wide enough to allow a person in a wheelchair to get in and out of his van without bumping into the vehicle next to his, and allowing room for something like this wheelchair lift that was built into this van. The space is close enough to a store entrance so that the person doesn't have to go a long way in all kinds of weather or have to worry about cars backing up toward him or tripping in parking lot potholes or whatever. It's also easier for him to get back to his van carrying whatever he's bought at the store or wherever he's been. You see, Larry, it's not just a matter of people with disabilities needing special treatment. It's a matter of just having the opportunity to do the regular things that we do every day. Like Mr. Trenchard here. He's a music teacher and he just happens to need a wheelchair to get around. It's not always easy to get a wheelchair around some places. That's why reserved parking spaces are there to help Mr. Trenchard and others with disabilities get to places just like you or me. So, what have we learned, Larry?
The next time I have an urge to eat, send for a takeout order?
Larry...
I know! Don't be a Porky Parker. Be parking considerate.
Now you've got it.
Looks like we need to make a trip to the store, son. Remember when you asked me if people with disabilities go to the store, go to work, and do all kinds of regular stuff like that? Well, you were right. They do. And now that my leg is all better, it's about time I let them do their regular stuff and not get in their way. Come on, son.